But let me move on. The point is that there is room for improvement. Let us not fibble and quarrel or fight or try to show up any weakness. There's a clear need for it to be done, and above all, for it to be corrected. And that's all I'm saying. I'm not an authority. I'm not claiming to give an authoritative study. If Mr. Hines says that the raw data, what raw data is he referring to? What?
Yeah.
What? Tell me. Show it. Prove it. Expose it so it can be tested. So that is basically my
Right.
thought. I'm saying that we should not, as a society, in the same way that 40 or 69, 59, 65, 66 years ago, Fidel Castro was not satisfied with illiteracy. And at that time, we ahead Cuba. We should not settle for that as part of the norm of the Barbie. We should seek to eradicate it. That no, everybody in Barbie should be reading, like, even at the most basic level. That's all I'm saying. That should be a national right. That should be a human right for every Barbadian that the
Okay.
government does that. And they say that good housing, good roads, good health, good education, reading and writing should be the basic. Should be that is the least qualified factors that should be in the average Barbadian's life.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. I think that and probably the thing about it, which is very interesting, is that about this discussion is that I wouldn't be surprised that that a study has been done. I would not be surprised, Mister. But it's whether we are going to see it. Whether we're going to see the results of that study.
Yeah.
The study, those of those just joining are saying that it would be interesting to know if a survey or study has been done, research has been done to determine the literacy rates in Barbados. It will be quite interesting if it is done. And as I'm saying, it might have been done, but we don't. It's not going to be made available to us.
May I just observe that logically, if you do the literacy level, you're also out of that is bring the illiteracy level.
Yes.
So okay, all right. But
Yeah.
I'm saying that part of the problem, and there's a wider problem. There was a time, Marcia, in the 70s and 80s, 70s, 80s, even part of the 90s, when the University of Western Cape used to be fully engaged in these matters, writing, observing, research. There's some done now by Dr. Dwayne Darris or what. But I've said there used to be a much more fulsome and widespread discussion in general on the economy. You don't hear as much people as public intellectuals, people at university giving the society that finances them the benefit of their learning, their study, their conclusions, etc. We do not benefit. And I said this is a prime example of a crying need for university or some other institution who can properly carry out this study to bring us up to speed and up to date as to what the true level is across the society. Otherwise, we will be making plans and programs and policies without knowing whether we have the framework, the foundation, the conditions that these things can succeed if people cannot read, right? Cannot read or write or both. It should not be allowed. But any government should not blink their eye and ignore it will go away. There's you can imagine how people who can't read or write, how much they must miss about information. They have to listen, depending on what people say. They cannot think for themselves. Think how robbed of the rich experiences they are of reading a book, reading a poem, reading a newspaper, which we take for granted. Think how narrow and limited and deprived their intellectual lives must be because they can't read or write. I say that Barbados must do better.
Yeah, but let me see. Mariette is saying there is data even regarding the inequality of educational outcomes as to the performance of boys versus girls. This is why I'm feeling that I have a feeling that they've done this. It is that it's not out to the same way that they were able to go into the prison and do that. I'm saying, and be able to give us, some research,
Yeah.
some,
I think you're onto something there because it might not be in the interest of certain persons to publish that information, because those findings will might be seen as a reflection of their tenure in office, their performance, their policy, etc. And it might be just to leave it untouched, leave it undeveloped, unexposed, because people don't want to take blame or responsibility for it. That might be so. There will be no need, and there'll be no hurry to formalize such a study or such information to give to the public, because it is not in their image and interest and reputation, their legacy, their profile to do such thing. That might be either collectively as a government or as individually as other persons in the society. That could be the problem.
Yeah, I know that Mr. Strickland and others out there like myself, as I said, I was shocked. I'm no, 'cause people love to, I'm no professional researcher, but my experience, Mr. Strickland, tells me that what we are purporting, what we are putting out there, and presenting as, okay, this is Barbados and we are so literate, etc. It's not necessarily true. And Stephen Strickland says, are 1,000 Frenchmen wrong? We as Barbadians see it every day. I want to ask, how many of you as business people, you have to, whether it is through interviews or you've asked somebody to fill out an application form, how many of you are seeing that in being practical? Let's be practical about it. In the comment section, how many of you are having that experience where you are finding it very, very difficult for people to fill out a form or to do a resume? Dave and I mean, all the time. The neighbors, they come. My son is just finished. I'm going to cut your mic a little bit, Mr. Murray. Too much noise coming through. My neighbors will come to us. So I'm just telling you my experience. Our neighbors where we live, Mr. Murray and viewers, would come to our homes all the time. They need the child just in school. Can you help them fill out an application form? Help them with write a resume. They need their CV to be put together. And you're sitting there and there nothing much is coming from them. And we have to actually do it for them. And this has been for a while. So, it makes you wonder, what would be the results of those studies?
Think about such persons who go shopping, where you're supposed to read labels and see what the contents are. They are total loss. So the society. Let me give you. I just recall an incident in my part of my family. There was one youngster who was very sharp, or appeared very sharp, and I remember it when you mentioned people having to fill out their form. You hear all the time that people leave school and when they have to go to preferred form, they can't. They can't. They don't know how to write, spell, whatever. So that is illiteracy. All right. But this relative was one that he had to write something, and his father realized he couldn't write. When the father examined, tested him, he had a very good memory. He would read lips. He would read lips and remember what was said and reproduce it. And you think he learned it. And then he had to take him and get him examined, and then if they had to find a cure for that problem. That was probably up to about second or third form in secondary school. That he bluffed his way through that whole system until it was discovered on that. And then, he's gone on there, he's been to university, etc. But the point is, that is the way it can happen, that people can read your lips, memorize, and give you what you want, but deep down, they are not able to calculate, read, organize their thinking, analyze. What it is that you have. Like for example, I hear one of the terms talk about critical thinking. When I was going to school, probably to Marcia, when you had to do comprehension, where you had to analyze, that's critical thinking, but they're trying to make it be some new invention.
Yeah.
Where somebody become a program and make money out of it, sell the government. All it is basic comprehension.
Yeah.
So I'm saying, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to just to add to your point. Dawn by nature, a business person, said I recently had to show an attendant at the gas station how to use a calculator to add the cost of my gas to the cost of the oil so I could swipe my card for the total. Okay, these are basic things. Let me just read some more of the comments, please, because I did ask them a question. Stephen Strickland, another business person, says, "Do you know what that statement mean? I work in customer service for years, and many can't fill the forms out. As a church leader, I see it. My daughter is a school teacher, and I can go on and on. So there are lots of a lot of experiences that people are sharing. I think what is needed is for the government to either present to us the stats if they have taken the stats, okay.
And if
Uh,
they don't have the stats, undertake a study to bring the society up to date, because it would inform them as to what some of the real issues are in Barbados and the origins or the contributions to some of the social and other issues in Barbados. But you need in this day and age, you need data, you need analytics, you need information. You're no longer going by hunches or intuition or what you hear. You need to get data, raw, the empirical evidence in the social science, whereas economic sociology, to be able to establish what are true by participant observation, by surveys, by interviews. There are different forms of interviews that you can get information from. All those to give us a comprehensive thing. Otherwise, I think that we are Barbados should be shooting in the dark, shooting in the dark, and that we cannot afford that. It's wasteful in our limited resources to be undertaking that. I would love to hear some teachers if they could make some comment. What is their experience in the classroom?
There's a teacher here that, and the thing about it, I mean, I have it's in the same year that when I encountered those children, those students, Mr. Murray, fourth and fifth form. I mean, I almost cried. I almost cried because education is so important to me. That's how I came out of poverty, was through education. Most of us, and I remember one grandmother took the boy here, and he was in fourth form, and she was crying. She was crying and asking if we could help this because he's a wonderful young man, just cannot read. So he's in fourth form, and what we had to be doing, we had to give him phonics. And we had a class with fourth and fifth formers, and we're doing letter A. So even though you were saying it, I wanted you to say it. It's not that I didn't know, but I wanted to hear from you as you were saying there was that person 20 years ago that it was happening to. I'm talking about now, current fourth and fifth formers. And so you have to be there saying, what is the letter A? This is the long A. The long A is A, and the short A is A. Fourth and fifth formers, nobody can tell me that I didn't do that. I did that. I used to hold reading classes on my veranda in the middle of COVID, even though it was a lockdown. I used to let them come out, they come and they sit on my veranda, and I put the book through and try to help them to read. Reading is so, it's so fundamental. So we can't put our heads in the sand. But I keep saying, I believe this government has the research studies. What Miss McLean is here, I'm going to let her come in. Go ahead, Glyne. Let me unmute you. Yes, I think I muted you. Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
Muted yet. One of the reasons why, let me give you my personal, one of the reasons why I'm so gung-ho and so enthusiastic about early stimulation. I might have told this story already on the show. When I had two older sisters, and we used to live across a cane ground from Grace Hill School, and they would walk across the cane ground to go to school. I followed them one morning into the school, and the teachers asked, "What are you doing in here, young man?" I said, "I am here to do what my sisters are doing." And I was about 3. I remember that yesterday, they sat me down on the floor and gave me some blocks, with different colors and letters, and I never looked back. That was it. And my mother, my dear mother, we always had an appreciation for education. If on a Sunday we did not have money to buy a piece of pork or beef for Sunday lunch. My mother always found money to buy a Sunday Advocate. We all read the newspaper, discuss it. So there was an appreciation. My mother said they don't go to secondary school, but she had an appreciation for education. I went to school on scholarships, otherwise I could have gotten it. Right? So I'm saying that you need, there used to be I don't know if Maxine can join, there used to be almost a natural village societal appreciation for the value of education as an activity in its own right for the sake of just expanding your mindset. And there was an appreciation from that, but that seems to have declined now because more. I can't explain. I don't know the reasons, but certainly it is not as extensive and as strong as before. Maybe that's part of the societal change. I don't know if Maxine might have her views on that. Okay.
Yes.
All right, good. Now I thought that was a fascinating discussion. All kind of questions being asked, information being proffered or queried. And it made me realize that how long ago it has it been that this announcement was made early July. It is almost the end of July. And I'm yet to hear the Prime Minister's comment on this development. Realize that? I've heard comments from Mr. Commercial, who sings for his supper, who is his bidding. I heard Minister Simmons, who tried to pass it off on the greatest and a historic, something that we've been longing for a year. All that, but where is the Prime Minister's voice in this? This is free move is all part of the CSME. She is the Prime Minister, lead Prime Minister on CSME. Where's her voice on this? We need information. The reason why people are asking so many questions because we've had little or no information, except for the bare one that has come out from Prime Minister Holness. And we need to be assured that this process there's a policy, there's a program, there's a structure, there's a process, and it will not just happen willy-nilly as has happened to so many things. And that's part of the problem of CARICOM. Part of the CARICOM is lack of sharing of information. All we had from that was the Prime Minister Holness' statement. That is what CARICOM is more of an abstract to most people than real because it does not factor into their daily life because the information is not shared. By now, we should have had a report. We should know how that skills certificate thing has functioned, the pros, the cons, so we know the managed processes in the future. How much management will go into this so-called free movement? It said the full thing called full free movement for 4 countries. Full free. It said full free. I remember that phrase very well. And what we're talking about this movement, it used to happen, Maxine, before you were born, I believe, or close.
Which means it happened a long time ago.
When we were a colony, it was easier in most ways to get on a boat. We had schooners. We had what we call motor vessels. Federal palm. I mean, the Caribbean are such masochists. They've done such damage to themselves. Before, if you thought they did horribly wrong with Liat, they did it with the Federal Permanent Fire Member. 2 ships that were donated by the Canadian government as part of their contribution to the West Indies Federation. And they allowed it to just, Federation collapsed in 1962, and that went adrift. That went into some shipping thing, and then that disappeared. And we are still now without it. We still talk about ferries and things. I think that CARICOM, to be honest with itself, should apologize for allowing Liat to go out of existence.
I agree. It is
And
a shame.
I think we should find a way of getting Liat or some form of Liat back in the shape. I mean, the country got to be honest and fair. I remember there were a couple like this, St. Lucia and whatnot, we used to compare, but they will not contribute to Liat until it's more efficient. But meanwhile, Liat going to their 2 airports every day, they're not contributing, but they're benefiting. That kind of hypocrisy needs to come to an end. We need to find ways and means of making it possible for the private sector, give the private sector some incentives to invest in ferries that can make not going narrow distance between Trinidad and Tobago, who can deal with the open seas between here and St. Vincent and Dominica. So it cannot be just any old ferry. It has a ferry designed to deal with the weather conditions, the seas, etc. And we need some really serious discussion. We need to be right now. The most of the discussion can come from the private sector, and they don't have the money. Government should resolve to collectively if it's going to serve us well.
Mm-hmm.
I go back to 1970 when I first heard Ghana talk about being made the breadbasket of the Caribbean. That's the first CARICOM meeting adventure in Ghana in 1972 with the Georgetown Accord and those kind of things. It has yet to happen. We have to make it happen by putting the vehicles, the means where it's ordinary, people can hop, where it becomes ordinary. If you have free movement, people will be able to travel freely, be free in every sense of the word. The free movement that the European Union agrees among itself, that evolved over many years of trials and tribulations and giving and taking, always will evolve, but it has to be meaningful, structured, organized, managed evolution that we can all manage. But most of all, I think where Barbados is concerned, the Prime Minister owes it to Barbados to come and present a very comprehensive set of information on how this thing is supposed to work, how it's going to impact on Barbados negatively, positively, on what we are doing to plan ahead to be able to accommodate, etc. Otherwise, we just keep bumbling around, asking questions, be frustrated.
Yes, yeah. Let me hear, Mr. Murray. Yes, I'll unmute you, sir.
Yeah, I'm saying, I only recently heard Minister Jordan, who is supposed to be Minister of Labor, saying that it is now the responsibility of employees to check with INS to see if the employees are paid in on their behalf. That now becomes the responsibility of the worker. Like Marcia said, it used to be inspectors that went out and check. I understand that because of the IMF, a lot of those, don't forget, the IMF comes out of a culture where rights have little or no right. There are no trade unions to any extent in North America, those places, So they have sent home, laid off a bunch of those people, so they no longer have the requisite number of inspectors to do the work required of them. And that has been reinforced by the fact that the Minister George said it is not the responsibility of the worker to go and check and find out for himself. There's some workers, there's some employees in Barbados who, if they found out that you were checking, they will fire you. So I'm saying the government has surrendered, Maxine, some of the gains that were made. You talk about Dr. Esther Beswick, some of the work she did, admirable good work. But even before the days of Grant Lee Adams and Frank Walker, a lot of those rights and privileges and entitlements that we thought were settled have gone through the others. The reason why they're bringing so many foreign workers is that they're paying below what Barbadians are prepared to take. And that has driven the cost, the profits up, the cost down to the employer. But meanwhile, no national insurance. They don't have money to spend. So we're not making the economic benefits that it used to be. And I got a message just now when I was asking, not hearing the Prime Minister's voice yet on this matter. And Maxine said that the Jamaican, I think you said it too, Marcia, that the Prime Minister loves the Jamaicans. I understand she also loves Jamaica. And according to my report, that's where she might be on holiday or has been on holiday after the government.
Yeah, so that's a mouthful from me. Mr. Murray, any final thoughts before you go, sir? Let me open your microphone. There you go.
I look forward to hearing tomorrow night's discussions. And I am beginning to. I saw in the press. I don't know if you missed me. I saw in the press, I think it was weekend, Barbados, an ad for the Democratic Labour Party. I will attend this annual conference from the 22nd to the 24th of August. So politics, party will be in there. I think I'd like to see us begin to look at what we think will happen or can happen or should happen about the deal, because it goes into this annual conference, which is a major highlight. In that. I think we should begin to talk about that. Something like us to look at some of the implications, etc. Whatever aspect, because it's a major point that we cannot ignore.